item, you say defer?
We'll hear it anyway.
We'll defer.
You want to have a roll call?
Has anybody in the audience got any question on the item that was advertised for the, all right, Russell, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Here.
Councilmember McKay?
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Here.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Here.
Mayor Nelson?
Pledge.
Excuse absent.
Right.
Pledge.
I pledge allegiance. As most of y'all may see by now, the mayor's not here tonight. He had an operation for a gallbladder, is that right? Andy can give you an update. You want to give him an update?
Yeah, if I may, yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor. Yeah, the mayor had surgery today, had a laparoscopic removal of his gallbladder. I heard from his wife late in the day, and I'm very pleased to let you all know he did very well. Came through the surgery, was in post-op. They're going to keep him overnight, but he should be home tomorrow.
Okay.
If we could have a motion to excuse the mayor from all meetings tonight?
Motion excused. Second.
Second.
Robert.
I got it.
Call the question, please.
I got it. Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes.
As the vice mayor stated, council, the first item on the agenda tonight as the LPA is the capital improvement element for the town, which is required to be adopted annually. Jeff Kadams is in here. If you all had questions on it, we would defer it till next meeting or get him on the phone if he can answer it. But if there's no questions, it's pretty standard from every year to every year. I would recommend approval and move on.
All right, council, how do y'all feel?
Make a motion to approve.
We got to read
Well,
the
let's
resolution.
read it in.
Second.
We need to read
I
it.
think it's fine.
Yep.
Go ahead and
read
read
the
the
resolution,
resolution,
okay?
please.
A resolution of the local planning agency of the town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, recommending adoption of the 5-year schedule of capital improvements for fiscal years 2015 through 2019 and providing for an effective date.
Keith, does that require a public meet?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, is any council member got any comment on it?
I don't have a comment. I know the head of the comp board is out there, and we may want to give him a moment to discuss it if he wishes.
Noel Hollingsworth, Chair of the Comp Plan. This right here is something that we have to do every year by state law, and it's the 5-year plan. And in the past, the first year's been real, and after that, it's been hallucinatory experiences. And our financial department has been working hard to try and make it a little bit more real further out, like 4 or 5 years. And what this is necessary for is if we're going to make any grant requests or something else, where we're going to get the money to match it, et cetera, and also what we're going to be spending our money on down the road. So this is a fairly good representation this year of what is going to come down the road in the future, depending on council approval. So I hope you approve it. It's the best we can do, and Finance Department has worked very hard on it, and we think it's a pretty good document this year. Thank you.
How does the council approve? You want to go ahead with it?
Yeah, just say, is there any other public comment? Seeing none, public session closed. Now you can, there was a motion, a second, so just ask Russell call the vote.
Call the question, please.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes. All right, then we're going to close that meeting now, and then we'll, excuse me,
Vice Mayor, we have minutes to approve from the previous LPA meeting.
I'm sorry. I don't do this every week, so
I didn't even know they were on there.
I have to,
I make a motion to approve.
yeah.
Second.
What we're approving, we're approving 3 sets of minutes for the past minutes of the LPA. Okay. Any public comment on them? Call the question, please.
Perfect.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
All right, we'll close that meeting, and we'll open the next meeting. Do we call it the minute, the
Got to do the pledge.
Sure. Councilmember Bright Cruz,
Here.
Councilmember McKay,
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Here.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli.
Yes, now we do the pledge. All right, now we're going to open our regular meeting.
Vice Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to excuse the mayor.
Second.
All right, call the question, please.
Councilmember Bright Cruz,
Yes?
Councilmember McKay,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli.
Yes. All right, then we're going to move into the regular meeting tonight, and the, let me see. If I got that. Right now, we have a guest in our audience here tonight, a guy that, if y'all haven't had a chance to visit the Rolling Oaks Park and see what they have accomplished over there in that barn and what is there, well, one of the people had a lot to do with that and done a lot of his own money is George Morris, and I'd like to have him come up now. He's got a little presentation he'd like to show you.
Thank you very much. This was just basically a video that I put together over time. It was something that I filmed with my drone. Some of us saw it over at the opening, and some of us saw it hit the ground. Nonetheless, this was a video that I did of some horses that were in the background at the park, and it's pretty much self-explanatory after this. If you want to go ahead and roll that video. This was actually about 5 years ago when we replaced the roof. Some of us remember. This is some of the interior demolition when we started, knocking down the interior cement block walls. That's a good demonstration of improper use of a bobcat, but it wasn't mine. Again, some of the stalls. After we finished demoing the interior, obviously, we were left with the floors, dirt floors, and we wound up putting new floors. Here we are, obviously, pouring the concrete floors. This was actually a part of an older video that I put together prior to the construction. our beautiful plaque. Here's the finished product. The actual design around the window was to mimic the previous barn doors, the original barn doors. We've obviously come a long way since our porta potties. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
George, thanks a lot. There's another lady in the audience tonight had a lot to do with that in Mary Gay Chapels. So I see she's here tonight. We haven't seen her lately, but she's back. All right, George, if you got a minute, we want to get a picture.
Thank you, but you shouldn't have, Russell.
No, if she does, we'll just Photoshop them out of there. I don't recognize him. Bob, there's a method to my madness, as you'll see in a moment. Bob. Thank you, sir. Freddie, stay there.
Everybody will indulge me for a minute, please.
Is he on, Russell?
I don't know. Yeah, I just don't talk loud. Okay, last month we witnessed another historic milestone in our town. And that was the opening of the barn at the Rolling Oaks Park. And I want to say thanks to the Rolling Oaks Civic Association. They did a great job of assisting and donating materials, and all their volunteers were up there and put together the stage and the tent. And I want to thank the volunteer fire department. They really helped out and kept us fed with some good eats. And I want to thank Vice Mayor Fitzkelly and the Corbett family for a big shout out for providing all the delicious corn on the cob. And George Morris and his crew, they really shined that day and showed us what great work he does for our town, although I've heard his ability to fly a quadcopter is questionable now. And I want to thank the Astronauts Parks Foundation. Their dedication to our town's parks is outstanding. And where's Sandy? Sandy, come on up. We're going to gush on you for a few minutes. Come on up. Come on. And all this had to come together with the efforts of our wonderful town staff, whose dedication is unbelievable. And the team leader of the project was Sandy. And you're up here. Come on over here. Sit down. She put together a beautiful event. It was fantastic, and she set the bar pretty high for future events. Some of the items her and her staff had to handle were getting the food, getting the band. I heard they had a really good happy hour in determining that. Cleaning up the site, making the barn area safe after George, decorating the barn, and cleaning up the barn after the event, and all the last-minute landscaping. And I understand there was a 2-for-1 sale on hoses because they bought them all out in the entire county. And coordinating the townwide advertising. And the list goes on and on and on. And I want to say thank you, Sandy. You did an outstanding job. And we'd like to thank you with a little bouquet of flowers. And we've got a nice little dinner present for her. So she can get a nice little bottle of wine. So thank you very much from all of us.
Sandy, save that for next year's Secret Santa.
Big smiles. You too, George. All right. Stay still this time, George. All right. Thank you.
No, I'm just.
Okay, I'm done. Now it's time for go to our item number 4, public comment. Keith?
Vice Mayor, we have 3 speakers tonight. Does anyone else want to speak? Seeing none, we'll close it at the 3 speakers in the order that they received. Vince Valletta, Dee Schroeder, last is John Eastman.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Council. Vince Valletta, my address is on record. I want to take this opportunity to wish the mayor a speedy recovery from his ordeal. I brought this item up to a few of the councilmen, and what I suggested was that the town ought to be proactive in its monitoring of its property. This past weekend, I was asked to review some of the canal banks in Sunshine Ranches because of the damages done by the bulk pickup. And in my travels, naturally, I found some items that were distressing, that different driveways that were being built without permits, swales that were being filled in. And this is all town property. And I think the town, and I suggested this to a couple of the councilmen, I think the town should be proactive in monitoring its own property. There's a couple of pieces that have platforms on the banks, which I don't think were permitted. Not that I'm objecting to it. I'm just saying all this skullduggery is going on, and yet the town is not either is giving a blind eye or isn't aware of what's going on in its own town. And I think that it's the code enforcement should be proactive in its review of the town's property. And while I'm at it, since I got a few minutes, back to the businesses that are going on in this town. There's several businesses that got. I heard the other day there's a CPA that's running an office out of his home. We got a dental surgeon, and all of this is home occupational licenses. I brought this up about 3 or 4 years ago. that the town should be aware of all the businesses and should be at least licensing them to be permitted to be there. Thank you.
Who is next, Keith?
Next speaker is Dee Schroeder. Last speaker is John Eastman.
D. Schroeder, 5501 Thoroughbred Lane. Red light cameras are designed to capture offenders, but a court ruling could essentially make every red light camera ticket issued to date null and void. Jen Health, member of the red light camera distinctly crossing an intersection along Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard in West Palm Beach on her way to work, saw the light flash behind her and said, "Oh no, that was polite. That's not what she said." I got a ticket. She wonders how a recent appeal court's ruling found that cities could not delegate tickets writing duties to a third-party vendor affect her. We are still on a holding pattern, basically if we're going to have to pay for our tickets or not. So I'm not sure how this appeal to me and wants to know if it's going to help me. Ted Holder, a partner of the ticket clinic specialized in fighting these traffic tickets, says ruling could impact every driver with a red light camera ticket. This is reported from CBS Channel 12 News. This could affect thousands and thousands of cases across the state. For people who have not paid tickets in the past, I think they're going to have a hard time going to cities and asking for a refund. So they would have to join in a class action suit. We should have a class action suit. This is stealing blatantly, and we have a House of Representatives that were basically responsible for this, and let's not drop any names like Mr. Martin Carr, who was involved in this decision making. On an average, about 1 million red light camera tickets have been issued into the Sunshine State each year for the past 4 years. That is $158 million. Where the hell is the money? To a third party? We're giving our county revenue from the system, the court system that designed this, that wants this to make revenue, to a third party. This is ridiculous. Representative Dave Kernan, who is also attorney who filed a class action suit over the camera, says the red light camera issue is a sticky one. I know. I also received a red light district ticket. And there are people in this room that are well aware of that. Certainly everyone endorses safe roads. If they were using this, if there was an accident or there was some question about something that happened is one thing. But just to take and get everyone that goes through it, whether it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the morning, if we can't issue an officer to be out there, which we seem to be inundated right now on every single turn, every medium has got them loaded up and lined up down the roads, and if we can't set a cop out there to catch you, then you deserve to get away scot-free. If you cause an accident, that's a different story. Use it, and use it wisely, and don't abuse the fact that it's there. And the state has abused it. The county has abused it. Thank you.
Who's next? Okay.
Good evening, Council. John Eastman, 188th Avenue. To follow up on D, there's an absolutely disgraceful list of campaign contributions to our state, House, and Senate on that red light issue. I looked it up, and it's just reprehensible that those people would be taking money and buying those votes. Ditto for Vinny on his comments. I'm battling the bulk people right now for driveway damage, and they're doing plenty of it. I'm asking them to please train their operators so they're not taking our pavement out and they keep digging holes in our swales. It's all a matter of how delicate the guy is with the clamshell. But I think I've made some headway with management at Bergeron. They're very receptive, and I think they want to fix the problem, especially when they've been getting bills to fix it. A couple other things I wanted to touch on very briefly. Volunteer fire department issue has been going on at our HOA meetings the past for quite a while now. We had a very good discussion. The chief came out last time. Barry Nunzig came out for the opposing view. And I think the consensus with at least our HOA, which is the area served, is, we're seeing the need for a more balanced service out there. And we don't really see the need for the brush truck. We want the council to look at maybe some other options. That was brainstormed pretty quick here, and I'm sure it was subject to some changes as you move forward. But the folks out west would like that looked at. We don't feel the need for a brush truck, maybe some sort of squad or rescue that can actually do the EMS type work that we need. The second thing would be, we're pretty much all in favor of a hardened fire station, but we'd like to see it in the 190th Avenue area around the Country Estates Park, because that would be a balanced location. We wouldn't need to build the station out west, and we could get out of the trailers on 172nd. And I think that needs to be looked at. So there's a correct way to do this, and let's look at all the options. The last thing I'm touching on tonight is Florida Power and Light. Our state has a public service commission that's basically appointed. It's really a bad idea. I've been following the commission meetings, and they are kind of like the South Broward Drainage District was years ago. They're just a bunch of appointees. They are shills for the power companies. Some horrible stuff they've done in the last year there. They've got the people, us, paying for wildcat drilling operations up in Oklahoma, and they've got us paying for useless solar plants that are total malinvestment all around the country. And the PSC is putting those loads on us. On a more local level, they're hardening our power lines on Griffin Road. They've dug into our drainage facilities along Griffin Road. I've been in contact with the town manager about that. I sent him some pictures. We need to hold their feet to the fire and get them to come out and fix it. Those slopes are very difficult if you've ever looked in there, and they're grassed, and they've torn out all the grass, and the drains are just going to fill up when we get our summer rains. In our neighborhoods, Mr. Lasky provided me with some data on the type of wire that was used in our homes 40 years ago. It had a 20-year life expectancy. Almost 100% of everybody on 188th Avenue has had issues, either one leg going out or a neutral fault. In the last 2 weeks, Fred Cox got electrocuted in his shower. I grabbed my shower head and got a shock. And Machado, across the street from Pat Cotter, his whole house burned up. All the appliances, anything plugged in, toasted because his neutral went open. And when that happens, basically, you normally have 110 volts. Well, now it's looking for a place to go, so the other side comes in, and you get 220 running through all your appliances. I looked inside of his oven. The element had melted into the bottom, and FPL is haggling with him on replacing his appliances. At my house, the crew came out and found out that the pole that was changed had the neutral wire improperly rigged, and they had to re-rig the wiring. We have a problem with our high water table. For 5 years, we had those levels at 4.5 feet. All those wires were submerged. The casings on them are only good for 20 to 25 years, according to the data. They don't use that type of wire anymore, and a lot of these neutrals weren't even in casings. They were just raw aluminum stuck in the ground. So most of them are rotted out, and probably the town's going to need to get involved with some sort of action on the part of FPL about replacing the wires to the house completely, rather than just continue patching these when they break and when they burn through. If Machado hadn't been home, his house would have burned down. He was there. He saw what was happening. He was able to go outside and turn off the main breaker. I'm following this. I'm torturing FPL. I got through to some people today there about all the ghost poles they've left up, and I'm waiting for some answers back tomorrow from them. So I'll keep the council advised on how I'm doing with that, but I may need help from you. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, that's all public comment.
All right, that's all the public comments. Have we got any board reports tonight? Any to committee board reports? No board reports. Then the next one will be the council comments. Who wants to go first? Steve, go ahead.
Just a couple of comments. I did want to make a note that we are working on, Vinny, we are working on scheduling the time for the reviewing the code for, not really the code, the code enforcement for the businesses that are being run out of the house. There is, let me be clear, there is in the code allowance for a lot of businesses to be run out of the house, including like CPAs and things like that. So I don't want to overstate it, but there are certainly a lot of businesses that are abusing that, and the fact that we kind of have our hands tied at the moment in being able to enforce that. So we're going to have a workshop on that. We're going to talk about the certificate of use and hopefully the implementation of that, which will be a strong tool for code enforcement to do. So I appreciate you bringing that up. We should see that probably in the next 30 days or so, right? March 26th. So circle it on your calendar, and that's when we'll be talking about that. I'm sorry, March 12th. March 12th. So that's coming up in the next meeting, or the first meeting in March. So the other thing that I wanted to touch on was the discussion on the volunteers for at the HOA meeting at Country Estates. I thought it was a really good discussion on it. We were able to hear both sides. I think that the folks over in Country Estates are more affected on this than any other part in town, based on where the stations are. And so they're pretty well educated now on the situation and understand the situation. And I think they're understand the importance of having the volunteers there, and we truly appreciate the volunteers and all they do out there. The topic of the brush truck did come up, and I thought it was an interesting topic because we were kind of proceeding to a point with the brush truck. But I think that is something that we're going to want to take a look at. A lot of good points were made. I'm not going to go over them all here, but suffice it to say that I think there might be some better options for us out there, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that as we in the near future as we start looking at things. But I thought it was a great discussion. I appreciate everybody who came out and the ability to kind of go back and forth and do that education. Thank you.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, hi, everybody. Couple of things. I want to thank George Morris, the staff, everybody involved with the barn and the opening and all the work that was done. It's came out fabulous. What a great job, and what an awesome facility that's going to be for us moving forward. So thank you to all of you involved in that. Council, I have a request for you to help the town pay tribute, additional tribute, to our veterans. A few years ago, we took an action and provided an exemption from fire assessment fees for our 100% disabled veterans. This cost the town less than $4,000 this year, and it provides a small thank you for those who have given so much. I think it was the right thing to do, and I'm glad we did it, but we can do a little bit more. I think we should also provide an exemption for our veterans from the solid waste assessment as well. With your agreement, I would like to direct town staff to exempt 100% disabled veterans from next year's solid waste assessments and moving forward, whatever else that would consist of. We currently have 8 veterans in town who are 100% disabled based upon an average assessment of $444. This would cost the town only about $3,552 to provide this benefit to those have earned it. Do I have your support on this?
You making a motion?
It would have to come back as a resolution.
I'm just asking for consent so they can bring it back and do it.
I think it needs more discussion.
What kind of discussion? We can discuss it right now.
I want to see the numbers again.
Okay, Marty? You have the numbers for this?
Thank you. For the record, my name is Martin Sherwood, Town Financial Administrator. I provided the Councilmember McKay with the averages. If council would like, I can give you a individual on the 8, the exact cost, but it's going to be in the same neighborhood of the $3,600. It pretty much mirrors, in this case, coincidentally, it's mirroring close to the impact from the fire, which is less than $4,000. So we have 8 qualified disabled veterans. They have to qualify yearly for that exemption. Since I've been here for the 3 years, it only jumped up for one additional person. So 2 years, we had 7 qualified veterans, and this past year, which is the 15 budget, we had 8. So it's unknown how much it will cost for the 16 until I get preliminary rolls, which is around June. As Councilmember McKay discussed, I could include it as part of the proposed, as part of our workshops, as part of our meetings with you individually to get a better consensus, if you choose. And at that time, I'll be able to get direction from you on how you want to treat it for the 16 budget.
Okay. Personally, I'd like to think about it a little bit more before I give a yes or a no on that.
Let me clarify and remind you, it's strictly 100% disabled veterans only, no one else.
I think I understand you say, Artie, we don't know how many that is at this time?
We do, 8.
8?
It's 8, and it doesn't materially change. It could go one up, one down from year to year.
I'm listening.
Doug, I'll just say, I mean, I think it's certainly something that we need to look into. I don't have a problem with that. I'm always cautious, like Gary is saying, on the fly to just say yes or no. Just want to be able to think about it for a little bit. I don't want to, I'm not saying yes or no. I like a little bit of time to.
Do you all have a problem if I have Andy put it on the agenda for next meeting?
No, not at all. I think it's good.
You want to put it on the agenda as a suggestion item?
No, I'd like to bring it forward as a motion to pass it, as an agenda item on next meeting.
There is one thing I want to mention that may be required, although I'll defer to legal. We would need to notify the property appraiser's office if we were interested in pursuing this exemption and designation. They need this. I think the cutoff may be in March, so I'm not sure the deadline to follow up. So if we're going to pursue it, it would really, we need to get some indication from the board prior to June. But we could follow up, as you mentioned, at a further council meeting.
I was going to say, if it sounds like you're all certainly willing to consider it, want a little bit more information, what we'll do is we'll add it to the agenda for February 26th. Marty and I'll prepare a little bit more backup information for you that you'll have in your agenda books beforehand, so you have an opportunity to review it. Does that help you all?
Is that, are we talking about Vietnam veterans or all veterans?
All veterans.
All veterans.
But they have to be 100% disabled. It's not just 50% or whatever, the 100% disabled veterans.
Yeah. So y'all, the way we're leaving it now is going to be,
Come back next meeting
Yeah.
as an agenda.
okay. Is that all you got,
That's all I got. That's it for me.
Gary?
Yeah, I got a few things. Thank you, Vice Mayor. First off, I'd like to wish the mayor well. He just got through surgery, and also our Parks Director, December. She just got done with surgery last night and is home recuperating, and hope she gets better quick. We need her. We need her out there. The other item I want to talk about is last night we had a really great meeting on traffic calming. It was a traffic calming workshop for Sterling Road and Sunshine Ranches. And I want to thank all the people all the residents that participated in it. We had about a dozen people there that lived along Sterling Road and some that lived off of it. And they gave us our input. And I want to thank them for all the valuable information that they were giving us. We achieved a majority consensus on several methods that we're going to be implementing throughout the Sterling Road corridor from Volunteer to Flamingo, and they include the guardrails that we already know about, the LED speed limit signs. We're going to put in larger stop signs. A lot of this most of you already know. In improved lane striping, the double yellow median all the way down, enhanced enforcement. Davey was out there this morning with the motorcycle squad, as I understand it, writing citations. And then, of course, the rumble strips. It's a noteworthy statistic that we found out that Sterling Road gets 9,600 cars a day. It's a huge volume, huge volume. And the speeds are up to 80 miles an hour between stop signs. 80, that was the max speed recorded. That was recorded. That's a recorded statistic. Okay, so there's clearly a need for some sort of help. The traffic data collected indicated that the rumble strips are effective and work at slowing traffic down. Well, it was no surprise to me, but it's nice to have the empirical data to back it up. And that's something maybe the other areas of our town may wish to consider in future traffic calming discussions. And like I said, we have proof that the rumble strips work. We're working on enhancing the safety around them for right now, and we received it wasn't 100%, but it was a majority of the residents, in excess of 90% there, who said, if we're going to do the rumble strips, let's do them right. And so far they're working. They wanted more, actually, was what it came down to. So I just wanted to bring you guys up to speed on that, and it's a work in progress, and we're working on it. So that's all. Andy may want to mention more. I don't know if you want to mention anything more.
Yeah, I have a question. Is there a plan to add more?
Huh?
In the rumble strips, is there a plan to add more?
We're considering it for the safety, the people trying to avoid the strips by going around them.
Okay. I think I'm next. I want to answer one of the first questions that was brought up is about moving the fire station to 190th Avenue. The staff have looked at that, and Andy, you correct me if I say wrong here. According to the agreement we got, when we got that part, we cannot build any type of a building in that part. Is that not correct?
Yes, Vice Mayor. The agreement, as currently stated, indicates that we are unable to do that, use it for anything else but the park. We do have a call in. We are pursuing that to see if it is an option. I'm not optimistic that it will be, but we are pursuing that.
Okay. My next comment is I've talked to our engineer about, we haven't opened up the fishing hole part because we haven't finished. And we're not going to be able to get finished till we get that fill spread. And the problem is we have no money to spread that fill. So I'm putting it before the council to Gary, Steve, and Greg. I'm talking to you people, that we're talking about the fishing hole part. And I've talked to the engineer about it, and the main thing that needs to be done is that fill needs to be spread. But it's going to take, I'm just guessing, I think it's 10,000 about what we're looking at, Cleve, or more for that, to get that done. Talking to him.
Council member, as far as the spreading of the fill, what we're held up on right now is just getting a final release on the water, making sure it runs adequately on the bathroom and the playground. We're also seeking quotes right now, or developing bid documents for the trail, the natural trail.
Yeah.
But as far as spreading the fill, I haven't got an estimate for that right now.
But we're in the process now. We need money set aside. We have nothing in our budget to do that, right?
That was for the clearing of the open areas that
Yeah.
were supposedly going to be future ball
Right.
playground or ball areas, I should say. And we have an estimate of cost for that, but you're right, we have no money budgeted for that part of it. No, sir.
So that's something that we're going to have to see where we can talk to our financial director, somewhere where we can come up some money to to finish that part.
Right. Can I, just a comment, Fred?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see, I think we're getting close to that park being ready to be open, but I would like to see a list of the items that, kind of a checklist of what remains, and then an estimate of what those costs are, because there's still, we're talking about a few different items here. And yeah, I'd like to know what those are, see all the costs so that, we can prioritize them and see if we can do them all, or see if we need to prioritize and pick a few. But right now, I don't have a good feel for what needs to be done and what the dollars are, and I think that's step one. Obviously, we're close, so we want to close it out, but
Well, at the present time, you correct me if I'm wrong, we have the money to do the trail, right? To demarc the trail and do the trail.
Yes, we have the money for
But we
that.
don't have the money to remove the remaining trees that are on the property, and we don't have the money to spread the fill that we have on that property.
That is correct.
okay. Well, I mean, I'd like to, we just need to see some estimates on that, and I'm not, is that it? We're done with those, and then we're done?
Yeah, should be.
Pretty much, yes. Well, the
Okay.
wetlands mitigation part.
That's
of
what I
it.
mean. I mean, I would like to see a list of
that-
all those things that need to be done, so we
I'm
can.
sorry, the fishing hole lake itself would have to be done.
All right, so that's, like I said, I
Well,
want to see a list and some
I'm with
estimates.
Steve. I just think we need some parameters and some costs related to it. And Steve Gay, or Vice Mayor Gay has her hand up to say something. I don't know if you want to acknowledge it or not. I'm okay with that, too.
Well, I think what you need, Gay, you need a list of things before it comes back to the park board.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're asking for now. Yeah. What I'm telling you right now is he's made a motion that we get a list of what needs to be done. Once we finalize that list, we'll see about getting it to the park board. Before we make any approval, we'll see that y'all see it. Everybody
Just to
comfortable with
clarify,
that?
There's three primary phases. There's the multi-purpose trails, that's in the works. There's the remainder of the clearing of the trees and spreading of the fill in the open areas that have yet to be cleared yet. And then there's the lake itself in the back and all the amenities associated with that. So those are the three, as I understand it, those are the three main things that we have left.
Yeah.
Okay?
But Keith,
That's-
let me ask you something here, and I asked the council too, because I got involved in that part. Actually, that lake would not be required to open that park, would it?
That's a policy decision on the council's part, I think.
I'm going to guess right now, we can probably tell you, we're not going to require a lake to be built to have that park open, I don't think.
I can't. We got to get that park open. We got to get that park open.
So I think the consensus right here this evening is here to tell you that we're not holding up that park related to that pond.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, there's no need to say we need so much money to dig a pond that we don't need it at the present time.
Well,
I'd like to know.
I'd like to know, yeah. I mean, there's,
not require it,
I'd like to see, a list of everything that's left to do on that park and an estimate cost on it, and then draw a line, like I say, prioritization, draw a line, what needs to be done before we open and what we can continue to work on after we open it.
You understand what they want?
Very well.
Okay, thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Cleve.
All right. Where are we at now?
You're up.
On my
You're
public
still
comment,
talking.
let me see what I got here. Money for work. Yeah, first. Yep, that's all I got.
Okay.
All right, the next item on our list is going to be legal comments.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be real quick. While CPAs and things of that nature would be legal, a dentist surgical office would not be legal. So if you do have information in that, please provide it with Robert immediately, and we will get with the necessary authorities to remove a dentist who's doing surgery in his house from the town, because that is violates numerous laws. Aside from that, George, normally don't get an opportunity to commend you. It was a great video. My son's bar mitzvahs in 2 years. We'll talk. Great job on the barn. Yeah, great job on the barn. It really looks fabulous. Good job to everyone involved. it was well-deserved, the honor you guys received tonight. Wish the mayor speedy recovery, and other than that, nothing else.
Thank you. Next would be administrator comment.
Yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor. Just a few things as quickly as I can. Mr. Eastman spoke before. He mentioned the FP&L polls, and I just want to let you all know that my column in the next newsletter deals exactly with that. I've heard from Councilmember Jablonski and from other residents as well that there are poles that have been replaced out on private property. Wires have been switched over. The old poles are still in place. So what we're asking for is for our residents, if they have poles on their property that need to come down, we want to work with those providers, whether it's Southern Bell, whether it's FP&L, whoever it might be. We want to get after those vendors to get in and get those poles cleaned up and get them removed. And so that's one of the things we'll be working on. Councilmember Bright Cruz mentioned earlier the workshop we have scheduled for March 12th. We're going to do that at 6 o'clock, right before the council meeting, to talk about certificates of use and some of those commercial issues. So, we'll certainly get some information to all of you in advance of that. But I know you're certainly familiar with the topics. You've heard the issues from the residents, and we want to give you guys an hour or so to sit down and kind of chew on that and determine if you want to change policy or stay with the status quo. And the last thing I have is Broward Days, which many of us went 2 years ago. Last year there was no Broward Days held. We, in spite of that, did very well through the budget process. Broward Days has been scheduled this year for March, I believe, 25th and 26th. We have a council meeting scheduled for March 26th. So I did reach out to Nelson Diaz, who's our lobbyist in Tallahassee, to get his feeling on it. Nelson's a little short-staffed now. They had a departure from his staff. His feeling is if you want to go up, you're able to do that. He doesn't believe it's necessary at this time. Perhaps later in the session, depending on how things are going, to go up for that. But he really didn't seem to feel that it was necessary. And because he is short-staffed, he's not going to have as much time to devote to council should you elect to go. So I don't know from council, although I've spoken to you all individually about it, I'm not sure how you all feel about that. If obviously, I'll say 2 or 3 of you were determined to go, we would have to cancel or reschedule the March 26th meeting. If one of you or maybe 2 of you would like to go, we could potentially still have that meeting, although if some of you are out of town, we'll be very careful, try not to put anything on there that certainly would be critical to you that you would want to be here for. So other than that, I kind of turn it over to council to get some direction on whether or not we want to hold that meeting, whether you want to reschedule that meeting, whether you'd like us to book you for Tallahassee or not.
Steve, let's start with you.
I was not planning on going up this year, so I'm fine with leaving things as they are, but, I can be flexible if others are going.
Doug?
I was planning on going because we did not go. I think we owe at least a show up and owe a thank you for everything we got last year, if nothing else. But whether it's during Broward Days or later in the session, it makes no difference to me when it is. But I'd definitely like to make an appearance.
I don't plan to go. Jerry?
I'm having some scheduling concerns with work and around that time of the year and stuff like that, so I'm sort of on the fence still. I'm trying to see if I can be made available or not. Definitely, if we need to go later on in the year, I can work towards that also.
So,
From what I'm hearing from the council, we'll go ahead and leave the March 26th meeting in place, so we don't need to reschedule that. Councilmember McKagan and I can chat a little bit further if he wants to go for Broward Days or perhaps at another time, and we'll work out that scheduling. Okay. That's all I have. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
all right. Our next thing we have is, Keith, what do we do now? Our next item number 9 is that reading.
We continue.
We continue.
Yeah, Russell, read it.
All right. Then Russell needs to read the resolution, please.
It's an ordinance for first reading. An ordinance of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, adopting the 5-year schedule of capital improvements for fiscal years 2015 through 2019 pursuant to Chapter 163 Florida statutes, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, Council, this comes to you with a recommendation of approval from the local planning agency. This was just discussed 20 minutes ago. The testimony that was given at the last hearing will be incorporated by reference, as it always is. It's here for you.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Is any comment from any of the council people for the public? It's open for the public. Anybody from the public like to speak to it?
Thank
Okay,
you.
now-
Seeing none, public comment is closed. Russell, call the vote.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Steve?
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes.
Clerk, item 10.
So resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, accepting the Selection Committee's decision to rank Prestige Property Maintenance as the highest qualified proposer for town-wide right-of-way maintenance services to the town, approving an agreement with Prestige Property Maintenance, Inc. to provide town-wide right-of-way maintenance services to the town, approving an additional 2014-2015 expense not to exceed $54,555 for town-wide right-of-way maintenance services, which includes an additional $32,755 for the prorated contractual increase and $21,800 for an initial one-time cleanup, approving a fiscal year 2014-2015 budgetary appropriation from the General Fund and Transportation Fund, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into an agreement and providing an effective date.
Mayor, council, Vice Mayor, council, Andy, you may want to speak, but I'll be real quick. This is the long-awaited landscape contract. The one thing that Andy and I did speak about before the meeting is there were some questions as to whether or not why the town is fronting the cost for the cleanup that should have been done by Luke's, and that's something that Andy and I are looking into, and it just came up today. Other than that, it's before you for consideration.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any public comment on this motion?
Vice Mayor, if I may speak to it a little bit first?
Excuse me. Go ahead.
Okay, this item and the next three, the four together, are what's generally considered the current Luke's landscaping contract. So we've broken it out into different components, but these four will replace the one existing contract. The current contract that we have with Luke's Landscaping expires in August of this year. Town staff wanted to go out to bid on this because certainly, as you're all familiar and you've all heard from residents repeatedly, there are excessive concerns with the level of service that we're currently receiving, and it is our intent to try to upgrade that, and that's one of the reasons why we went out to bid on that now. We'd like to get the new contract in place, certainly prior to the onset of the rainy season, which will be here again before we know it. Within this contract is a cleanup of Griffin Road, which is, I have shared some of the details with you on what that encompasses, but obviously we all know that it needs it. We've got invasive exotics, we've got dead plants, we've got, issues, especially out west, are far worse than the east. There's a lot of things that just need to be cleaned up. Tom Jacob, who's the head of Prestige Landscaping, is here today, so I know he's going to be able to answer any questions you have. And as Keith led on before, he and I had a discussion because we do have a current contract with Luke's. They have a performance bond. If we have an opportunity to pursue Luke's and it's cost effective, in order for us to do that, to offset the cost of that cleanup because it's made necessary by their lack of performance, then we'll certainly do that. I can't tell you that we're going to be able to do that. Keith and I will go through that, decide what it will cost us to do it, what our chances are. We'll share that information with you. But I want you to know that we will certainly explore that option in every way.
Anybody want to speak on it? I do too, but I don't know if you want me to go first, maybe I'll be saying some of the things. But my opinion is we need to look at it, and we need to take a lot of it out. We've got place on the south side, we got trees planted, then we got shrubs killing the trees that we planted. We need to make up our mind. We need to take a look at that thing, that whole road, what we did, and come up with a suggestion before we sign this contract with this gentleman to maintain it, because right now it's a mess. I don't know how, we got some areas in the center there, you got 6 or 8 plants left and there's nothing there. We're paying people to go pull the weeds out of that. My opinion, we'd be better off to leveling it all, plant grass, and have the mower go in there and mow it, and what I would suggest, but I'm just one person. Yes, Steve.
Yeah, Vice Mayor.
I see
Oh,
you
I'm sorry.
smiling.
I want to add one thing, if I may. And I just want to remind you that Tom Jacob is here. Tom is very familiar with Griffin Road, and as an industry professional, he may be able to answer some questions that you all may have. Okay.
Go ahead, Steve.
Just a couple comments. I think last time we had this conversation with the county, I believe it was, we were under some legal obligation to retain, that we could not just rip those plants out. I don't know, maybe that's changed or...
We entered into a settlement agreement with the county, and the settlement agreement says we can rip them all out.
Okay, all right. My other comment is that there seems to be, I don't know exactly, I'm not saying there's any skullduggery around, but I am saying that that there is a clear difference in the look on the east side of I-75 and the west side of I-75 when it comes to how Griffin Road looks. And I'm not sure exactly why that is, but one of the things, Tom, that I'm hoping to see is that both sides of the town will start to both look, good, as opposed to that variation that I see there now. I would be welcome to any comments that you have when you look at what you see out there and what needs to be done. I would welcome to hear what, yeah, I mean, if it's okay with the Vice Mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I may, Steve, just jump in one quick second. Remember, the county did one side and the state did the other.
Yeah, but it's been a long time now. It's been a long time. Should have balanced out by now.
All right. They didn't plant the same stuff.
Thank you. For the record, I'm Tom Jacob, 3300 Southwest 46th Avenue in Davie, co-owner of Prestige Property Maintenance. We look forward to working with the town and with the maintenance, landscape improvements. Vice Mayor, you hit it right on the head. A lot of, I drove numerous times with December, and we agreed, and part of that proposal of the cleanup is on there, and I tried to put on as much as I can. But generally, plants that don't belong, like you said, 5 or 6 plants by themselves, we're taking them out. We're gonna try to salvage what we can. Obviously, we're gonna salvage what we can. We want to make it, we're gonna do a hard cutback. If anything, you might get complaints because things are too high, sightline visibility issues, these kind of things. But we went over it a few times actually, and we're gonna develop beds. There's no beds. We're gonna lift trees. We're gonna, is it gonna be like maybe a lot of other cities yet, medians? But we're gonna start off. It's gonna look good. It's gonna look clean. It's gonna be a immediate impact. We're gonna come in. If everything goes according to plan here tonight, we're going to come in right when we're allowed to come in, and we're going to make an immediate impact. And we are going to start from the east side and work our way west, I think, is what we mentioned with December. But, yeah, I think no doubt about it, it'll be easy to do, to be honest with you. But we'll make an immediate impact, and I think everyone will be happy. Any questions?
Well, my question is, in other words, could you give, this is what I'm thinking, could you give us some estimate of your opinion? Like, we got some areas that got plants, half of the plants are gone. You got a plant here, plant there, plant there. To me, it would be better to take them all out and put grass there because we can mow it, But the trees and all that are fine. I'm just talking about mostly the plants.
A lot of your ground.
Especially that sidewalk on the south side, you can't walk down it in some places. Those bushes are out where you can't even walk down the sidewalk.
Particularly on the west side, and that's
Yeah.
part. That
Yeah,
is in
the east side, there was, Steve, to answer your question, Bergeron did the west side, and another company did the east side. So that answers your question, I think, of what we're looking at. We had all kind of problems with that when it went in, if you remember. And we had to go, Keith had to do a lot of work with the county before we can finally sign off on those things.
Yeah, but I mean,
right now, I
also-
think what we need to do, Steve, is get an expert to go in there and tell us what is the cheapest price we are being cheap because we don't have any money, that we can make that look good and still make it look good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it needs, and I appreciate, sounds like you're really going to jump in there and make a difference.
This is the first step. This is the first step, and then from there you can look. But it'll definitely be a big improvement.
And that's what we've been looking for a long time.
Absolutely.
So I understand it was done by two different places, by two different entities, and 2 different times. But the reality is, they've both been in place long enough that they should both be matured enough to where they both look fairly decent, and they don't.
Well,
The west side, the west side still has a long way to go. The east side is in pretty good shape. How long, you say you're going to start on the east side, how long is it going to take you to get to the west?
We're looking, in 1 month, we'd like to have our cleanup complete.
Okay.
Within 4 weeks from the minute when we start, we're going to come in here and we're going to work on it until we're done.
Okay.
The cleanup.
To my knowledge, we put in a very expensive sprinkler system, but I don't think we've ever used it. I don't even know if it's usable.
You know, and one of these contracts we'll talk about is about the sprinkler system, the irrigation system. And, you know, I had the same question to Andy when we were talking. I said, does that thing even work anymore? Because I've never seen it on. Apparently it does work, but I don't know if it runs in the middle of the night, which is probably when it should run. But that may be enough. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that yet.
We haven't, obviously we don't have a contract yet, so we didn't have an opportunity to punch it out, but from what I'm understanding, it is somewhat operational. Obviously, we do a punch out, set heads, make sure you're getting coverage where you need it, and cap it where it doesn't, that kind of thing.
Great.
Yeah.
Fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we at now? We're on item number 10?
No, we're doing public comment on the item we're on.
I'm sorry. You got me lost here for a minute.
It's
You
okay.
people understand I don't do this every month, so I'm...
Let me
I'm
jump in here
shuffling.
with just a question for Andy real quick. For the record, Andy, when would this, if we approve this, when would this be effective?
Yeah, our Luke's contract, it has a 30-day notice requirement for termination. Depending on how things go tonight, I'll tell you that the letter is drafted and ready to go, but obviously pending council action. So it would be 30 days really from tomorrow, should you pass it tonight.
And the other question is the irrigation system that's along Griffin Road, can that be utilized in the equestrian park?
I can't answer that one.
I didn't think so. I just thought I'd bring it up.
Can you connect it to
As a zone.
Okay. Moving along. I think we're at the
Public comment.
public...
Members of the public who wish to speak on the item has 2 minutes apiece.
Would the public like to speak on this? Anybody in the public?
Newell Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. And I'll say this in relation to both this contract and the next one. We'll save irrigation for a long discussion. It is my opinion, and has been ever since Griffin Road beautification started, that the first pass of any lawnmower should have been Gay's Barco. And Freddie has mentioned the quality of the landscaping there, and I think 90% of it needs to be ripped out and just grass put in and make it easy to mow and less intensive, and maybe down the road take a look again at the contract that we have, because we have reduced the amount of vegetation. Originally, it was supposed to be a xeriscape, if you remember, way back in the dim parts of our brains. Broward County said, we'll put xeriscape in. Well, they didn't. They put in water-intensive plants. And they put in stuff that's got a shelf life of, growth life of a couple of years, and you see that dying all off. You saw the stuff that needed a lot of water all the time die off. A couple of plants here and there left. So my personal opinion is that you use the Barco on his first pass cleaning up, and after that, we just mow the sucker. And that's that. We don't need an entranceway to Weston. Thank you.
You know, I'm a little surprised. I thought you'd recommend turf.
Jim Lasky, 5780 Southwest 188th Avenue. I did a lot of research on this Prestige company, it's first-class outfit. You might be asking them to do more than they're not used to doing. It's going to take a lot of money just to clean that place up. I don't think that Luke's ever did anything other than cut the weeds. And that's really all you got there is weeds. There's vines that are choking out oak trees and pine trees. It's ridiculous. I've sent emails to Andy before about not being able to walk down the sidewalk and slime growing underneath the trees because the water would collect there, wouldn't dry off with the sunlight. It got pretty damn slippery. And we got horses going up and down that sidewalk that could slip with metal shoes on that slime. But Prestige, from what I see, is the classiest large-scale contractor that does this kind of work that I know of. And I know a couple of the guys on this list. So anyway, I would think you should go against the bond of Luke's, because I really think that they abused that contract. If they got paid a couple of $100,000 a year, which I think their contract allowed them to do, I don't see where they did more than $75,000 worth of cutting weeds, because that's virtually all they did. They never took the vines out. They cut the sidewalk when I really, really complained, and it was half overgrown, and I got pictures to verify all that. We should go against their contract. Okay, thank you.
Bob Hartman, 5441 Southwest 198 Terrace. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to the landscape material. A lot of that stuff is inappropriate. I mean, bolly grass running right down the middle of the road that never gets weed, never gets cleaned, never gets watered, looks pretty bad. And a number of the plants they put in the median are inappropriate. But on the south side of Griffin Road, I think you probably would have some problems with some of the neighbors if you started tearing out all those fire bushes and the oak trees. I mean, the fire bushes are as tall as the oaks because they've never been trimmed. But those are the ones that attract the butterflies and the hummingbirds and all that, and also keep the sound down. So, you know, let's use some real judgment. I know everybody wants to grab the pitchforks and start digging to help out, but there's a lot of good stuff in there too on the west side. It's not all garbage. Thank you.
I don't want you to use my machine. I just am unhappy that maybe we can't get going. We've dragged this thing on for years, trying to get rid of Luke. And I'm sure that they'll be just as happy to leave. Possibly we can make them leave sooner than later and get cracking on this while we can before the rains set in and it becomes, I mean, we all know that everything grows super fast as soon as it warms up and you get a lot of rain. I mean, you really race to keep up with it. And they have a lot of cleanup to do, trimming the hedges and so on and so forth. They're competent. If they don't perform, we can take action. I don't think that that's going to be a problem, but I certainly hope that we can move on now and get this thing under control. We've got all sorts of trees growing in the mediums in the hedges. And some of them are hollies that have been trimmed off, and they just keep getting bigger and bigger at the bottom. We got mahogany trees growing in the mediums. You would be amazed at what's growing in there. Not to count the vines that have covered the trees, and they're kind of dormant right now. But boy, the first warm weather and rain, they're going to take off again, and the trees are really suffering for it. So I don't know if you can get them to leave sooner than later, but I would think that they know they're not going to be around. And if we can get them to pay for some of this cleanup, good. Thank you.
Okay. More public comments, and we'll bring it back to the council. Any more comments from the council on it?
I would just say that based on what I've heard tonight, it sounds to me, Andy, like we need to focus Luke on the last 30 days of their contract to apply pressure that they actually get things cleaned up as much as they possibly can. And if they're not willing to do that, then move them along. You know.
And they can go after their bond.
Well, I mean, you've always got to give them an opportunity to perform first.
That's exactly right.
And so I don't think they're going to be motivated to do it. I think they're ready to hightail it out of town, I suspect. And so that's when you talk about the bond, or you've got 30 days to do something about it, or you're going to have issues with the bond. So that's all I'm saying.
But you're okay with the resolution the way it's written?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. All right.
I just want to say something because people keep saying there's no bond. And I want to make it clear, legal counsel, and Andy will tell you, has recommended a bond on every single one of these, the new ones.
The new one, there's no bond, but the old one, there is.
Oh, you're talking about Luke's, but I want to make it clear on this one, there's no bond.
We're aware.
Okay. As long as everyone's okay with it, I'm okay.
Okay. Call the question.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Resolution number
11.
11. Want to read a resolution 11, please, Russell?
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, accepting the Selection Committee's decision to rank Prestige Property Maintenance as the highest qualified proposer for townwide parks and property maintenance services to the town. Approving an agreement with Prestige Property Maintenance, Inc. to provide townwide parks and property maintenance services to the town. Approving an additional expense not to exceed $43,197 for townwide parks and property maintenance services, which includes an additional $26,882 for the prorated contractual increase and $16,315 for an initial one-time cleanup. Approving a fiscal year 2014-2015 budgetary appropriation from the general fund, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into an agreement and providing an effective date.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any public comment? Okay. Any other comment from the council?
You got public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I would like to see allow for him to charge him more money for that cleanup and go against that bond, because that's going to be a lot of work. Just look at all the vines and the encroachments that's going on. Look behind the mountains and all the crap that's growing back there. And who knows, the fences are probably going to get messed with, especially along the area of 180th, I believe, in there. You've got trees growing in the fences. So there's going to be some other things, because he should get paid fairly to clean that mess up. That's a disgrace. I can't believe you paid a guy to do that kind of work. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Any more public comment? Call the question.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Number 12.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, accepting the Selection Committee's decision to rank Prestige Property Maintenance as the highest qualified proposer for townwide irrigation maintenance services to the town. Approving an agreement with Prestige Property Maintenance, Inc. to provide townwide irrigation maintenance services to the town. Approving an additional expense not to exceed $12,157 for townwide irrigation maintenance services, which is the prorated contractual increase. Approving a fiscal year 2014-2015 budgetary appropriation from the general fund and transportation fund, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into an agreement and providing an effective date.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any public comment?
On the irrigation subject, yes, you could move those units. It's a computerized valve system. I'm sure these guys got people that are qualified to move those to someplace like Fishing Hole or the Equestrian Park. What's happening now is all your sprinkler heads are getting beat up by whoever's cutting the grass, and the tops of the valve covers that are up right adjacent to Griffin Road, the tops have been off those for months. So that means the valve that they're protecting is getting run over by the same lawnmower. I mean, it's a waste of money. You don't need them. If they can't grow there after they get started, forget about it. So plant your plants before they get rainy season, and once they get rooted, they'll be okay.
Noel Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. This is $12,000 is prorated for approximately 6 months till October. You take the full cost of the contract, that's $1,700 a month. That is a full-time individual for irrigation. So what we have is 20-something thousand dollars that is going to irrigation after it's already been fixed. The only fixing that's been taken, we've replaced one electronics in all the years that we've had it. We've replaced a couple of pumps in the equestrian park because the pipe goes to the drainage canal and it sucks mud. That's the problem with that. December kept coming to the Parks Board going, well, we have to replace the pump again in Equestrian Park because it's sucking mud and it burned the motor out. And it clogged all the pipes. They got to be blown out. Well, on Griffin Road, they're taking canal water. And once the pumps and everything are put together in good working order and all of the sprinkler heads work, only damage that's going to be done to those sprinkler heads is when a quality individual hits it with the mower. And I don't think we should be paying for someone that willfully damages the sprinkler head while they're cutting the grass. I don't pay for my gardener when he breaks the sprinkler heads in my, I'd like in a couple more minutes.
Go ahead.
Breaks the sprinkler heads. He replaces them at his cost, not mine. Because my sprinkler head was good before he showed up. And this is the exact same thing. If this council wants to take $20,000 and put it in a line item, and that's for sprinkler repair and maintenance, and pay for a person to go out there once a month and check those sprinklers for 4 hours to see if they're working. And if they've got, when they turn those sprinklers on, a straight stream of water, then the landscape company has to pay to replace it, not us. Because that's what we're doing. We're paying $1,700 a month. We're paying them for the sprinkler heads they broke and for the damage they have done. If someone damages your personal property, you don't pay for it. They pay for it. You may go to your insurance company, and then their insurance company is going to come back on them. But you don't pay for it. They pay for it. And I see the exact same analogy here. We are paying $1,700 a month for them to break their sprinkler heads and charge it to us. A cost of doing business is to replace what you damaged in the course of your business. And that is what I see in this contract, is we are replacing the cost of business with my tax dollar. And I don't like it. And I would hope that you would consider taking a look at saying the sprinkler heads are the landscape company's responsibility, and if it clogs up, for them to clean it and then replace it back because it's still a good sprinkler head, instead of throwing it away and putting a brand new one down and charging us. So, what I say to you there is do not approve this. Put the money, if anything, into an account. Get a certificate if you want to pay for the upgrade, the check that of the sprinkler systems to make sure they're all working right. That's fine. But do not give $1,700 a month to the company to replace what they break. Thank you.
Bob Hartman, 5441 Southwest 198 Terrace. I have a fundamental issue with awarding the two contracts to the same company. To me, it's kind of the fox watching the hen house. You had an irrigation contractor who had to come out every month and inspect the system and charge you for the issues that are going on. You can turn around and hand that off to the landscape contractor who busted them, or figure out who busted them if it's a car accident or something. But I wouldn't be awarding this contract, both of these contracts, to the same company, because to me, they have an interest in not reporting these and just replacing them, as Newell points out, with our money. So, thank you.
I can understand the islands where they're mowing, because cars don't jump up on the islands, and usually we did have them go up on the island here and take out a couple of trees, so they could take out a head. But if you get over to that equestrian park, that's a totally different deal. There are heads all over that place, and there's vehicles, there's cars, there's riders, there's everything there that can damage those heads besides the mowing or the maintenance company. I don't quite understand how it's worked, and I'm not going to get involved in that, but I just know that there's heads over there in that equestrian park that have been damaged, and they've been damaged by outsiders. So as far as the islands are concerned, I think it's apples and oranges. Thanks.
Tom, you got to want to give us your opinion on this?
Once again, Tom Jacob, Prestige Property Maintenance. To answer the first guy's question there, obviously, if we damage something, this is standard across the industry. We would fix it, as far as the lawn maintenance end. Now, the first thing we do when we go to any property, whether we do irrigation or not, we punch it out. We want to punch it out. Some of the biggest issues, and someone mentioned valve boxes. Well, valve boxes were high, heads are high, because there was once beds there, so they weren't meant to be in the turf. So in the turf, theoretically, you'd say, okay, well, the lawnmower can't damage a sprinkler head. It's in the ground. It's set in the ground properly. It's below the blade surface, even with the ground surface. So theoretically, there'll be minimal damage by lawnmower. If anything, your system, if there's going to be many repairs, which I really don't think there will be, but just normal wear and tear, age, that kind of thing. But if the landscape, the first thing we do is we make sure these things are set right where you don't have that kind of damage. And I could see the conflict of interest, but we do most cities and municipalities we do, Airport, Tamarack, Miramar, we do both. And there's never been an issue. And we make sure our guys report improper set heads, valve box lids that are broke, missing. Stuff is going to happen. And if we hit it for whatever reason wasn't set right, got misset, something like that, settled, either we adjust it or we'll repair it and replace it ourselves.
Vice Mayor, if I may. I'm curious, not that I want to get into the logistics of the monthly stuff and how you do. Is there, related to the sprinkler system and heads and pumps or whatever, piping, is there a monthly report turned in related to that? How does that part function?
Yeah, we would, if you have an area a valve that isn't working, so we do a monthly report to your designee and say, okay, well, zone 8 isn't working, or, a break, a major break, these kind of things. And then if there's a major break or under a road or something, obviously it's a big deal, then we can give you a price. You can do it in-house. You can go outsource it, whatever it is. But usually, use an agreement. Okay, if it's less than X amount of dollars, a quick phone call. Oh, yeah, we know that valve, whatever the reason, We're not just replacing things, just to replace them. Something's got to be wrong.
Let me make it. Tom, I had an opportunity to look at this, and I'm disappointed look at your contract before this, and I was really kind of flabbergasted that I've seen the cost of the equestrian park. We're paying the present contractor over there something like $30,000 or $40,000 a year just to maintain the sprinklers. He gets a flat rate. I don't know if he has any broken sprinkler, but he gets a flat rate. I don't have that contract in my hand right now, but I tell you the truth, as far as if we're going to replace, you don't do the contract now, do you, John? You're not doing it now, are you?
No.
Yeah. Who has the mowing contract, the guy that's doing the mowing contract, he maintains it. I know, if I remember right, I think we pay him something like in the neighborhood of $40,000 to maintain the sprinklers in the equestrian park. there's a lot of things in that thing that I think we really need to look at this contract and, to see when we start talking about the irrigation contract, because I'm really upset when I see here we want to increase the Griffin Road, which wasn't even being sprinkled before. We want to increase it from, I look at my figures right, from 20,000 up, from 4,000 to 21,000. I think there's a lot of figures in this thing that I'm not comfortable with. I'd like to see this thing postponed until we get a chance to get December out of the hospital, whatever it is, and we look at this before we pass this tonight, personally.
Just a couple comments. First comment is that, I don't know, I'm not in this business. I don't want to say it's overcharged, undercharged. I can see other bids that were here. They were either competitive or you were way under some of the other bids. So my personal feeling is this has been a problem for a long time in our town, and I'm tired of screwing around with it. I want a professional to come in here and to fix it up. When we renew the contract, maybe we don't need to spend this kind of money. But right now, I want it taken care of. I'm tired of looking at it. The residents, I hear a lot of complaints about it. They're tired of looking at it. I'm ready to do the job, We've got a qualified gentleman in here that wants to do the job. I'm for moving forward, to be honest with you. It may not be perfect, but I want it handled, and I think it's time.
I'm just very uncomfortable with the amount of increase that we're increasing, but if you say, I'm just one vote.
I think we leave it to the administrator to police it and adjust it or modify it as we go.
Yeah, jump in here real quick. I mean, the greatest price in the world doesn't mean anything if you're not getting the product or the service.
Yeah, we've been there.
And that's kind of where we're at, We needed something on the action side now, and there is a price tag attached to that, unfortunately.
I knew it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not too comfortable with it because of the fact is that Jeff's in the hospital and it takes 4 votes. I'm going to vote with you. 3 votes? I thought it'd take 4. Okay. But I'll still vote with you. I'm on it. All right. If y'all comfortable with it, we'll call the question.
I do have one other comment I just want to make, not directly on this comment. But I do want to say that it was not that long ago. This is really directed towards the administration, not anyone else. But it wasn't that long ago that it seems like every time a contract was coming up for being renewed, we always had to renew it for another 3 months or 4 months or 6 months. And we had some contracts, we did that 5 or 6 times. I just want to say that it's pleasant to be able to not only do these things on time, but actually do them early. So,
Continuing resolutions became a way of life.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. No more comments. Call the question.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, we're back. Let's see, we're on item number 13. Facility Managers Reliance. This is the one for opening and closing the parks?
Hopefully it's more than that.
That's all you want to do?
Okay.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, accepting the Selection Committee's decision to recommend Reliance Contractors as a qualified proposer for town-wide facilities maintenance services to the town, approving an agreement with Reliance Contractors to provide town-wide facilities maintenance services to the town in an amount not to exceed $67,536 per fiscal year, approving an expense not to exceed $39,396 for town-wide facilities maintenance services, which is the prorated amount for the remainder of fiscal year 2014-2015. Approving a fiscal year 2014-2015 budgetary appropriation from the general fund, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into an agreement and providing an effective date.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Open to the public. Anybody in the public like to comment on it?
Okay, we'll do that first. Okay.
No comments from the public. Then any more
I
comments?
think Andy has a comment.
Huh?
Yeah, if I may talk about this, this is not to Prestige, obviously, it's a different company. This is actually the 4th component of the current Luke's contract. Where we've had issues with service. This involves opening the parks, closing the parks, janitorial service, checking the playground equipment to make sure those things are working. We really need to bring somebody on, obviously, with the parks we have now. We talked earlier about bringing Fishing Hole Park online shortly. We've got the barn that's just recently been completed. Town staff can't keep up with this. We really need to bring somebody in. I'll tell you that I have a little bit of concern, only because this company is so new. Their references have come back absolutely sterling. What's nice, and I think I've said this to some of you, is in some ways right now they need us more than we need them as they're trying to build their business and develop their business. And we're going to watch them very closely. And I'm cautiously optimistic. I think we'll have a good relationship with this vendor, but we'll be watching them. And if they don't produce, obviously we'll be back to talk about a change. But I think they're going to get the job done, and I'm excited to bring them on board.
Well, I'm glad to see that you're splitting it, Andy. Before it was tied in with the other contract. I think it needs to be a separate contract like this. Any more comments? Call the question, please.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes. All right, item number 13.
That was item 13, Vice Mayor. I believe we're up to item 14.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Number 14.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, accepting a quote submitted by Lee Lester, Inc. to remove and to replace approximately 800 square feet of drain field at the Southwest Ranches Fire Station located at 17220 Griffin Road, authorizing the transfer of fiscal year 2014-2015 budgeted funds, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And, any public comment on this? Any more further council comment on it? Call the question.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes. Item number 15.
Yeah, Vice Mayor, if I may speak to this?
Yes.
Certainly with all due respect to the passing of Manny Hagan, who we spoke about at the last meeting. I know we all will miss Manny for a long time. I just want to point out to you all that he served on 2 town advisory boards. He was Gary Jablonski's appointment to the Rural Public Arts Board, and he also served as an at-large member on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. I've spoken with Councilmember Jablonski, and what he has informed me is he'd like to take Rose Albritton, who's serving as an at-large member of the Public Arts Board, and he's going to make Rose his appointee to the Rural Public Arts Board. As far as the vacancy on the Parks Board, I've spoken with the Parks Board Chair. She has some thoughts that we've discussed as far as expanding that board a little bit more. There are enough people on that board. There's really no reason for you to fill that slot right now. And I think between the chair and I, we'll be bringing you at a later date some further recommendations for your consideration on the Parks Board.
Any other comments on it?
I'll just say that, personally, and this just is really a personal comment, that Manny was such a key part to that Parks Board and gave so much to it that I'm in no hurry to fill that seat immediately. I think that's big shoes to fill, and just out of respect to him and all he did, I'd just as soon let it sit open for a while. He deserves that.
I'm with you.
I'm fine with that.
Good.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
So we'll table that, Andy.
Okay.
The fire station drain field, Andy, what we got on?
No, we
that?
got it. We're up to item 16.
Item 16,
It's the minutes from the last meeting.
we approved the minutes. We got minutes of January 22nd, 2016.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the question.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes.
Motion passes.
That's all I got. Anybody got anything else?
Do it.
Meeting adjourned.
Second.